Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. The last laugh delivers stories that leave you speechless. If you're here for it, hit subscribe and let's go. My name is Sarah Chen, and I'm 28 years old. I work as a data analyst for a mid-sized insurance company in suburban Portland. My life is routine, predictable, boring even. I wake up at 6, leave by 7:15, and return home around 6 in the evening. I live alone in a small two-bedroom house at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. My neighbors are mostly retirees and young families. Nothing exciting ever happens here. That Tuesday morning started like any other. My alarm was set for 6, but the pounding on my front door woke me at 5:03. I know the exact time because I grabbed my phone, heart racing, wondering who would be at my door before sunrise. Ms. Chen. Sarah. The voice was urgent, male, familiar somehow. I threw on my robe and stumbled to the door, checking the peephole. It was Marcus, my mailman. He'd been delivering to our street for 6 years. Nice guy, always friendly, remembered everyone's names. But what was he doing here at 5 in the morning? I cracked the door open, chain still attached. Marcus? What's wrong? His face was pale, eyes wide. He was still in civilian clothes, jeans and a jacket. Sarah, listen to me carefully. Don't go to work today. Stay inside. Lock all your doors and windows. I blinked at him, confused. What? Marcus, are you okay? I'm serious. Please. Just trust me on this. His hands were shaking. Did something happen? Is there a gas leak or? Just please, stay inside today. Don't leave your house. He looked over his shoulder nervously, then back at me. I can't explain right now, but I'm begging you. I felt a flash of irritation. I hadn't had my coffee yet, and this was absurd. Marcus, I have a presentation at 9. I can't just not show up to work because my mailman had a weird feeling. Sarah. Thank you for your concern, but I'm fine. Everything's fine. I closed the door, locked it, and stood there for a moment. My heart was still pounding. What was that about? I checked my phone. No emergency alerts. No texts from neighbors. Nothing on the local news about evacuations or dangers. I pulled up the neighborhood Facebook group. Someone always posted if there was a coyote sighting or a suspicious car. Nothing. No. Marcus was probably having some kind of episode. Maybe a bad dream that felt too real. I felt bad for him, but I had responsibilities. Before we go further, make sure you subscribe to the channel and comment where you're watching from. I went through my normal morning routine, though I kept thinking about Marcus's face. The fear in his eyes seemed genuine. But fear of what? I made coffee, took a shower, got dressed in my usual work attire, black slacks, blue blouse, minimal makeup. I grabbed my laptop bag and keys. It was 6:50 when I opened my front door to leave. That's when I saw it. My doorknob looked wrong. There were fresh scratches around the lock, silver scrapes in the brass. The metal looked scored, damaged. I bent down to look closer. The lock cylinder itself seemed loose, like someone had been trying to remove it. My stomach dropped. I stepped back inside and locked the door, chain and deadbolt. My hands were shaking now. I pulled out my phone and took photos of the lock. Then I noticed something else. The small security camera I installed above my door 6 months ago was tilted at an odd angle, pointing at the sky instead of at my porch. Someone had moved it. I backed further into my house, my mind racing. Marcus knew. Somehow, Marcus knew someone had been at my door. But how? And why would someone tamper with my locks? I was scrolling through my phone to call the police when I heard a car pull up outside. I moved to the window and peeked through the curtains. A police cruiser was parked in my driveway. Marcus was with them, talking to 2 officers and pointing at my house. My doorbell rang. Then a knock. Ms. Chen? This is the Portland police. We need to speak with you. I opened the door, keeping the chain on. 2 officers stood on my porch, a woman in her 40s and a younger man. Marcus stood behind them, looking relieved to see me. Miss Chen, I'm Officer Patricia Reeves. This is Officer James Coe. Mr. Whitley here reported some concerning activity at your residence. May we come in? I let them in, my hands still shaking. Officer Reeves did a quick visual sweep of my living room while Officer Coe examined my front door lock. Miss Chen, Coe said, pulling out a flashlight to look closer. Your lock has been compromised. Someone used a pick or a bump key on this. Recently, too. These scratches are fresh. When did this happen? I asked, my voice small. Mr. Whitley, can you tell Miss Chen what you told us? Officer Reeves said. Marcus stepped forward, looking embarrassed but determined. I couldn't sleep last night. I've had insomnia for years, so sometimes I just drive around early in the morning, around 4 or 4:30, before my shift starts. I drive past this neighborhood because it's on my route, and I like to check that everything looks okay. He paused, rubbing his neck. This morning, around 4:40, I saw a man at your front door. He was wearing dark clothes, a hoodie. He was crouched down, working on your lock with tools. I slowed down to watch, and he saw my car and ran. Took off down the street and disappeared between the houses. My blood ran cold. Someone was trying to break in? I circled back around, but he was gone. I sat in my car for a while, watching your house. Your lights were off. I didn't know if you were home or not, but I thought maybe he'd come back. When I didn't see him again, I came to knock on your door. I know it was early, but I was worried. Why didn't you call the police right away? I asked. I did, as soon as you closed your door. I waited for them out here. Officer Ko stood up from examining the lock. Miss Chen, we're going to need to ask you some questions. Has anyone been bothering you? An ex-boyfriend, a coworker, anyone who might want to access your home? I shook my head. No. I mean, I had a boyfriend. But we broke up 2 years ago and he moved to Seattle. It was mutual. There's no one. Anyone at work? Any conflicts? No. I barely interact with anyone beyond my team. I analyze insurance claims data. I'm not even customer-facing. Officer Reeves exchanged a glance with her partner. Do you have any security footage from inside your home? Any cameras besides the one outside? No, just the one doorbell camera, but someone moved it. Look. I showed them on my phone how I could access the camera feed. The current view showed nothing but sky and the top of my garage. Can we check the previous footage? Ko asked. I scrolled back through the recordings. At 4:38 a.m., the camera showed my empty porch. At 4:39, it showed a gloved hand reaching up, and then the angle went wild as someone adjusted it. After that, nothing but sky. He knew where the camera was, Reeves said quietly. This wasn't random. Those words sent ice through my veins. What do you mean? A random burglar wouldn't bother repositioning a camera. They'd just cover their face or work fast. This person took time to make sure they weren't recorded. That suggests planning. Surveillance. I sat down hard on my couch. Someone's been watching my house? It's a possibility we need to consider. Officer Ko is going to check your windows and other entry points. I'm going to ask you more questions. Is that okay? I nodded, feeling numb. For the next 20 minutes, Officer Reeves asked me about everything: my job, my social life, my family, my routines. Officer Ko checked every window and door in my house. He found scratches on my back door lock too. Both entry points were compromised, he reported. This person wanted multiple ways in. Miss Chen, this is serious. Whoever this was, they weren't trying to steal your TV. They were specifically targeting you. But why? I'm nobody. I don't have enemies. I don't have money or jewelry or anything worth stealing. Marcus, who had been standing quietly by the door, spoke up. I've been thinking about that. Sarah, you mentioned you analyze insurance claims, right? Yes, fraud detection mostly. Why? What if you flagged something? Someone's claim, and they found out? Officer Reeves perked up. That's a good thought. Miss Chen, have you worked on any particularly large claims recently? Anything suspicious? I tried to think through my recent cases. Most of my work was routine, looking for patterns in claims data, identifying statistical anomalies. But then I remembered. There was one case. About 3 weeks ago. A fire claim for a commercial property, a warehouse. The claim was for $800,000. My analysis showed some red flags. The fire started in multiple locations, the inventory records didn't match the claimed losses, the owner had increased his insurance coverage 3 months before the fire. What happened with that claim? Reeves asked, leaning forward. I flagged it for investigation. My supervisor passed it to our fraud investigation unit, and I think they referred it to the state insurance fraud division. I haven't heard anything since then. That's normal, once it goes to investigation, it's out of my hands. Do you remember the name? The business was called Pacific Storage Solutions. The owner was? I think his name was Derek Voss? Or Vance? Something with AV. Officer Ko was already on his radio, calling for backup and requesting a database search. Officer Reeves pulled out her phone and made a call. I sat there, trying to process everything. My routine analysis, something I did dozens of times a month, had made me a target? It seemed impossible. Miss Chen, Reeves said after ending her call. I'm going to be very direct with you. If this man was trying to break into your home at 4:40 in the morning, he wasn't planning to wait for you to come home from work. He thought you'd be here, asleep. If he'd gotten in. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Mr. Whitley's early morning drive saved your life, she continued. If that man had gotten inside while you were sleeping, this would be a very different conversation. Marcus looked shaken. I almost didn't knock. I thought maybe I was overreacting. You did exactly the right thing, Ko said firmly. Your instincts were right. The next hour passed in a blur. More police arrived. A detective named Morrison showed up, a serious woman in her 50s with sharp eyes. They dusted for fingerprints, took more photos, and installed a temporary better lock on both my doors. Detective Morrison made calls and received information that made her expression grow grimmer. Finally, she sat down across from me at my kitchen table. Sarah, the name you gave us, Derek Voss. He owns Pacific Storage Solutions. We ran him through our system. He has 2 prior arrests, one for assault, one for insurance fraud. The fraud charge was dropped due to lack of evidence 8 years ago. He is connected to some questionable people. We believe he has ties to an organized crime network that operates insurance fraud schemes throughout the Pacific Northwest. My mouth went dry. Organized crime? The warehouse fire you flagged? It's part of a federal investigation now. The FBI has been building a case against a network that stages accidents and fires to collect insurance money. Your analysis was apparently good enough that it jeopardized a major claim. We believe Voss found out you were the analyst who flagged his claim. How would he even know my name? That's what we're trying to figure out. It's possible he has someone inside your company, or he could have accessed records through other means. But he clearly identified you as a problem. So what do I do? My voice sounded small, scared. Detective Morrison's expression softened slightly. Right now, you're not going home. We're going to put you in a hotel under police protection while we track down Voss and anyone working with him. The good news is, he showed his hand. We know he's actively trying to intimidate or harm you, which gives us cause to bring him in. The FBI is already moving on this. How long will I be in a hotel? Hopefully just a few days. We have officers looking for Voss now. His car was spotted 2 streets over about an hour ago. We think he was waiting to see if you'd leave for work like usual. The realization hit me like a punch. If I'd left at 7:15 like I always did, if I'd ignored Marcus's warning, I would have walked right into whatever Voss had planned. Before you pack a bag, I need you to think very carefully, Morrison continued. Is there anywhere else this man might look for you? Parents' house? Friend's place? Boyfriend? My parents live in Sacramento. I visit them once a month, but they're 6 hours away. My friends, I don't have anyone close enough that I'd stay with them. I'm pretty private. Good. That actually helps us. The less predictable you are, the better. 2 hours later, I was in a hotel room 15 miles from my house, with Officer Reeves stationed outside my door. I'd packed enough clothes for a week, grabbed my laptop, and left my quiet little house that no longer felt safe. I tried to work remotely, but I couldn't focus. Every sound in the hallway made me jump. Around 2 in the afternoon, Detective Morrison called. We found Derek Voss. He was arrested an hour ago at a gas station. He had tools in his car consistent with lock picking, and we found photos on his phone, photos of your house, your car, and you leaving for work. Time-stamped images going back 2 weeks. I felt sick. He'd been watching me for 2 weeks? It appears so. He documented your schedule, your routine. He knew exactly when you left and returned home. The attempt last night was clearly planned for when he believed you'd be most vulnerable, asleep, alone, in the early morning. Is he going to jail? He's being charged with attempted burglary, stalking, witness intimidation, and several other counts. With his record and the federal fraud case, he's looking at serious prison time. The FBI is also investigating his associates. This wasn't just about you were the immediate problem, but they've been running this fraud operation for years. So I can go home? Not quite yet. We're checking to see if Voss had any partners who might still be at large. Give us another 24 hours to be sure. But Miss Chen, I want you to understand something. Your analysis work likely just helped us crack open a major criminal enterprise. The Insurance Fraud Division estimates this network has stolen over $12 million in the past 5 years. Your attention to detail in that one claim started unraveling the whole thing. I didn't feel heroic. I felt terrified and exhausted. That evening, Marcus came to visit me at the hotel, escorted by Officer Coe. He brought me a sandwich from a deli, knowing I probably hadn't eaten. I just wanted to check on you, he said, looking uncomfortable. This is all so crazy. Marcus, you saved my life. If you hadn't been driving around at 4:40 in the morning, if you hadn't knocked on my door. I couldn't finish. I almost didn't. I kept telling myself it was none of my business, that maybe the guy was just a locksmith or something. But something felt wrong. I'm glad I trusted that feeling. Me too. I'm sorry I dismissed you when you first knocked. Don't be. It sounded crazy even to me. He smiled weakly. I've delivered mail for 20 years, and this is the first time I've ever been involved in something like this. We talked for a while longer. He told me about seeing the man run, about how his heart had raced, about calling 911 from his car. Before he left, he squeezed my shoulder. Trust your instincts, Sarah. They'll tell you when something's wrong. And do and ignore people who are trying to warn you, even if it's your weird mailman at 5 in the morning. I laughed despite everything. I promise I'll listen next time. The next day, Detective Morrison gave me the all clear. Voss had been working alone, at least in terms of the immediate threat to me. His associates in the fraud network were being rounded up by the FBI, but none of them had any apparent interest in me. I was just the analyst who deflagged one claim. Voss had taken it personally, made it personal, and acted alone. I returned home Wednesday evening with a police escort. My locks had been completely replaced with heavy-duty deadbolts. I'd ordered additional security cameras for my backyard and windows. The neighborhood watch president had already sent an email to everyone about the incident, leaving out my name but warning everyone to be vigilant. My house looked the same, but it felt different. I kept checking the locks, peering out windows, jumping at every sound. Officer Reeves had given me her card and told me to call if I felt unsafe, even if it seemed like nothing. 2 weeks later, I testified via video conference for the FBI investigation. They showed me documents, claims, patterns. My one flagged claim had been the thread that, when pulled, unraveled an entire network. Derek Voss, facing overwhelming evidence and federal charges, had taken a plea deal and was cooperating with investigators. He'd implicate at least 15 other people in the fraud ring. "You saved us years of investigation," the FBI agent told me. "Your analysis was incredibly thorough. Without it, we might never have connected all these cases." I didn't feel like a hero. I felt like someone who'd almost died because I'd done my job. 3 weeks after the incident, I met Marcus for coffee. He'd become something of a local celebrity, the watchful mailman who'd saved his customer's life. The neighborhood association had given him an award. My company had sent him a gift basket. "How are you really doing?" he asked as we sat in a corner of the cafe. "Better. I'm sleeping more. I'm not checking the locks 12 times a night anymore, just 6. I smiled, but it was true. The fear was fading, slowly. "You know what the weirdest part is?" Marcus said. "I almost talked myself out of knocking on your door. I thought, she'll think you're crazy. She'll complain to the post office. You'll get in trouble. But something told me that your safety was more important than me feeling awkward. I'm really glad you listened to that something." "Me too." Before we go further, make sure you've subscribed to the channel and commented where you're watching from. Your support means everything. A month later, I got a call from my company's CEO. They wanted to recognize my work publicly, to celebrate how my attention to detail had helped crack a major fraud case. I declined. I didn't want attention. I didn't want my name in articles or my face on the company website. I just wanted to do my job and feel safe in my home. What they did instead was implement new security protocols for analysts working on fraud cases. If a claim was flagged and referred to law enforcement, the analyst's name would be kept confidential in all external documentation. They hired a security consultant to train employees on personal safety. They created a system where analysts could report if they felt threatened. My boss told me privately, "You shouldn't have been vulnerable like that. We should have protected you better. This won't happen to anyone else." That felt more meaningful than any award. Derek Voss was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. His associates received varying sentences. The FBI recovered almost $4 million in fraudulent claims. Insurance companies updated their security protocols. The district attorney's office sent me a letter thanking me for my cooperation and stating that my actions had led to the prosecution of a significant criminal enterprise. I framed Marcus's thank you note instead. He'd written it on a piece of notebook paper in his careful handwriting. "Thank you for trusting a strange warning from your mailman. I'm glad you're safe." Marcus. 6 months later, my life had returned to something like normal. I still work as a data analyst. I still live in my little house at the end of the cul-de-sac. But I've changed in ways both small and large. I upgraded my security system significantly. I vary my schedule now, leaving at different times, taking different routes. I'm aware of my surroundings in a way I never was before. I notice cars that appear repeatedly, people who seem out of place, things that feel wrong. And I listen when people warn me. Marcus still delivers my mail. We've become friends, in that neighborly way. He waves, I wave back. Sometimes we chat about the weather or the neighborhood. He's still doing his early morning drives, still keeping an eye on the houses on his route. He says he can't help it now, it's become a habit. "Someone's got to watch out for everyone," he told me once. "Thank goodness you do," I replied. The lesson I learned isn't complicated, but it's one that saved my life. Trust your instincts and trust people who are trying to help you, even when the warning seems strange, even when the timing seems wrong, even when it disrupts your plans. That Tuesday morning, I had a choice. I could dismiss Marcus's warning as paranoid nonsense, or I could take it seriously. My first instinct was to ignore him. I'm so grateful I didn't follow through on that instinct. I'm grateful he came back with police. I'm grateful for fresh lock scratches that confirmed his story. I'm grateful for every small decision that kept me safe. Detective Morrison told me something during one of my follow-up interviews: the difference between people who survive dangerous situations And people who do, and often comes down to one thing: they listened when someone told them to be careful. They trusted that uncomfortable feeling. They didn't dismiss warnings just because they seemed inconvenient. I think about that a lot. How close I came to brushing off Marcus's concern because I had a presentation at 9. How my routine, my predictability, had made me a target. How a stranger's insomnia and morning drive had saved my life. I'm more cautious now, but I'm also more grateful. Grateful for observant neighbors, for dedicated police officers, for FBI agents who take fraud seriously, for colleagues who improved our security protocols. Grateful for a mailman who couldn't sleep and decided to drive past my house at exactly the right moment. Life is fragile. Safety is not guaranteed. But paying attention, to people, to warnings, to that feeling that something isn't right, can make all the difference. I'm Sarah Chen. I'm 29 now. I'm a data analyst who accidentally helped crack a major fraud ring. I'm a woman who learned to trust warnings even when they seem strange. And I'm alive because a mailman knocked on my door at 5 in the morning and refused to let me ignore the danger I couldn't see. If this story moved you, subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if someone ever gives you a warning that feels urgent, even if it seems crazy, listen. Trust your instincts. Ask questions. Take precautions. It might just save your life.